horse is nothing but pony. Horse is nothing but pony. Alright, so horse అనేది ఒక adult, ఒక adult fully grown up one ని మనం we call it as horse, but a small younger చిన్న horses మీరు చూసినట్లయితే it is actually pony. And then now tiger. So tiger యొక్క younger ones మీరు చూసినట్లయితే it is tiger is the grown up one and cub is the smaller one. Alright, tiger is the younger one and cub is the smaller one. So you need to understand the relationship between these words and also animal and younger ones in practice cheyandi. And then we need to understand male and female. So male and female we know it for male and female human beings ki maatrame manam cheptamu, no animals ki kuda male and female. So most probably ivanni exams or repeat questions me chusinattayite male and female. Alright, male and female relationship. Male and female. So male and female relationship. So male and female relationship lo meer chusinattlayite frequently elanti questions adutu elanti vaati meeda untundante. For example, let's start with tiger. So tiger మనం ఇందాక చూసాం కదా. సో టైగర్ యొక్క ఫీమేల్ వర్షన్ ఏంటి? సో మనం యూజువల్గా డే టు డే బేసిస్లో ఇవన్నీ మనం యూజ్ చేయట్లేదు, బట్ వీ నీడ్ టు. సో కామన్గా మేల్ అయినా ఫీమేల్ అయినా వీ కాల్ దమ్ బై ద సేమ్ నేమ్ టైగర్, బట్ వీ హ్యావ్ అ సెపరేట్ నేమ్ ఫర్ దస్ విచ్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ టైగ్రస్. So male and female, tiger is male one and tigress is a female one. Let's go with lion. Lion is once again male is nothing but a lion. Let's say what if you see a female one? So female one is a lioness. Now I'm going to same thing here, horse. Alright, horse once again it's a male one. Alright, what do you call a female horse? Most of us we don't know what is a female horse, which is nothing but mare, M-A-R-E, which is a female. Alright, horse is actually a male, mare is nothing but a female. Alright, let's go with stag. And stag, see this is a male one and then what is a female one? First, what does mean by a stag? See, ఇది మీరు చాలా ప్లేసెస్ లో చూడొచ్చు. కొన్ని పబ్స్ ఇలాంటి వాటి క్లబ్స్ కి పబ్స్ కి బయట వేసింటారు ఓన్లీ స్టాగ్ ఎంట్రీ నాట్ అలౌడ్, స్టాగ్స్ నాట్ అలౌడ్ ఇలాంటి బోర్డ్స్ మీరు చూడొచ్చు. అండ్ స్టాగ్స్ అనేది చాలా మీనింగ్స్ ఉన్నాయి, మల్టిపుల్ మీనింగ్స్ ఉన్నాయి. సో ఎగ్జాక్ట్గా వాట్ ఇస్ మీన్ బై స్టాగ్ అంటే ఇట్స్ యాక్చువల్లీ అ మేల్ డియర్. ఓకే, మగ జింక్ అని ఇట్స్ లైక్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ అ స్టాగ్. బట్ వేర్ యాజ్ అండ్ అన్మ్యారీడ్ బ్యాచులర్ని కూడా స్టాగ్ అని చెప్పి పిలవచ్చు. ఇట్స్ సెకండరీ అండ్ టెర్షరీ మీనింగ్స్లో వస్తుంది, కలోకియల్ టర్మ్ అది. సో స్టాగ్ అంటే ఇట్స్ యాక్చువల్లీ అ మేల్ డియర్, బట్ వన్స్ అగైన్ బ్యాచులర్ని స్టాగ్ గాను రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తారు. స్టాగ్స్ నాట్ అలౌడ్ అంటే ఇట్స్ లైక్ అ గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ మెన్ హు ఆర్ నాట్ మ్యారీడ్, అన్మ్యారీడ్ మెన్, లైక్ అ గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ మెన్ ఇస్ ఆల్సో కాల్డ్ యాజ్ అ stag. And bachelor's party, very common word used nowadays. Bachelor's party, which is nothing but stag's party, that is okay. Stag is nothing but group of men and interesting. All right, so stag is a primary meaning chusnatlaithe stag is a male one and maga jinka avutundi. So male deer it is. So female it's called as doe. Female one it's called as doe. So male and female. All right, so this is how it works. సో ఇలాంటి వర్డ్స్ అనేది మీరు చాలా నేర్చుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. ఈ వర్డ్స్ని బేస్ చేసుకొని మీకు రిలేషన్షిప్స్ అనేది అండ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అనేది ఫామ్ అవుతుంది. సో నేను మీకు ఇప్పుడు కొన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్ మనం ప్రాక్టీస్కి చూస్తాం. ఆ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏంటంటే లెట్స్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ ద ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. క్వశ్చన్ నెంబర్ 1. Let's start with ఓకే. సో ఎంతసేపు రిలేషన్షిప్స్ చూసాం కదా, ఇప్పుడు కొన్ని ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ చూద్దాం ఎలా వర్క్ అవుతుందని చెప్పి. సో బుల్లెట్ పాత్, అవునా క్వశ్చన్ ఒకసారి చూడండి. బుల్లెట్ పాత్ ప్రొజెక్టైల్ క్వశ్చన్ మార్క్. సో ఇట్స్ అ ర్యాండమ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. ఓకే, సో బుల్లెట్ అనేది పాత్కి బుల్లెట్కి ఏంటి, ప్రొజెక్టైల్కి ఇస్తూ క్వశ్చన్ మార్క్ అనేది ఏంటి అని మనం చెక్ చేయాలి. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ సో సింపుల్. ఇఫ్ ద బుల్లెట్ ఇస్ బీయింగ్ ఫైర్డ్, లెట్స్ ఒక బుల్లెట్ ఫైర్ అయినప్పుడు, ట్రై టు అండర్స్టాండ్, ఒక బుల్లెట్ ఫైర్ అయినప్పుడు డెఫినెట్లీ ఇట్ ఫాలోస్ పర్టికులర్ పాత్. ఆల్రైట్, సో దీనికి ఒక పాత్ అంటాం. ఆల్రైట్, అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఒక ప్రొజెక్టైల్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ అ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ మిసైల్. ఇది మిసైల్ అనేది లాంచ్ చేసినప్పుడు రిమెంబర్ ఒక మిసైల్ అనేది లాంచ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే ఒక పర్టికులర్ పాత్ని అది ఇట్లా ఫాలో అవుతుంది. ఐ రైట్? ఒక మిసైల్ అనేది ఫైర్ అయినప్పుడు, మిసైల్ సంథింగ్ దట్ ప్రొజెక్టైల్ అంటాం. దాని యొక్క పాత్ మీరు చూసినట్లయితే అది ఇలా ఒక పారాబోలిక్ షేప్ని తీసుకుంటుంది. దిస్ ఇస్ హౌ ఇట్ గోస్. సో ఇది పారాబోలిక్ షేప్ అనేది, దిస్ ఇస్ హౌ వీ కాల్ ఇట్, బట్ దర్ ఇస్ అ స్పెసిఫిక్ నేమ్ ఫర్ దట్ పారాబోలిక్ పాత్. ఇట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ ట్రాజెక్టరీ. Okay, remember this, trajectory. Projectile hyphen, it is trajectory. Trajectory in the sense, okay, a parabolic path ne manam trajectory ani తీసుకుంటాం. Remember this. Now, next question. So, next question, let's see another example. Ingoti చూస్తాం. So, ignore, notice. So a example చూడండి, ignore, notice. Okay, ignore and then notice. Next, cordial. So ignore, notice, cordial, question mark. What's going to be the answer? So first thing, let's understand what is the difference between ignore and notice. Alright, what is the relationship between ignore and notice? It is so simple. Ignore ante enti, pattichukokunda povodam. Notice ante dani pattinchukovodam, telusukovodam. Am I right? So this is nothing but antonym. Antonym ante it's an opposite. Am I right? So ignore యొక్క opposite ఏంటంటే notice. So cordial. సో కార్డియల్కి ఇక్కడ ఏంటి, సేమ్ థింగ్, యాంటనిమ్ అప్లై చేయాలి అంటే ఆపోజిట్ అనేది మీరు చెక్ చేయాల్సుకోవాల్సి ఉంది. సో ఫస్ట్ థింగ్, వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ సీ ద క్వశ్చన్స్, ఆ రిలేషన్షిప్ని మనం చూసినట్లయితే మనం ఎగ్జాక్ట్గా ఏది అని చెప్పి ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయొచ్చు. సో ఇగ్నోర్, నోటిస్, కార్డియల్ అంటే ఏంటి? సో ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఇది మీరు సాల్వ్ చేయాలి అంటే కార్డియల్ అనే ఏంటి అనేది మీకు తెలియాలి. కార్డియల్ అంటే సో సింపుల్, మీరు వెడ్డింగ్ ఇన్విటేషన్స్లో మీరు చూడొచ్చు, రిక్వెస్ట్ వి కార్డియల్లీ ఇన్వైట్ యూ, ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ లైక్ హంబ్లీ. ఆల్ రైట్. సో మనం రిక్వెస్ట్ చేసి పిలిచేటప్పుడు వీ యూజ్ సర్టెన్ వర్డ్స్ కాల్డ్ కార్డియలీ. మీరు ఏ వెడ్డింగ్ ఇన్విటేషన్స్ చూసినా వీ కార్డియలీ ఇన్వైట్ యూ అనే వర్డ్ ఉంటుంది. సో దానికి ఆపోజిట్ ఏంటి? ఆల్ రైట్, కార్డియలీ యాంటనిమ్ మీన్స్ ఇట్స్ ఆపోజిట్. సో ఇగ్నోర్ ఆపోజిట్ నోటీస్. సో కార్డియల్కి ఆపోజిట్ ఏంటి? ఇట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ హాస్టైల్. హాస్టైల్ అంటే మీకు తెలుసు, యూజువల్గా హోస్టైల్స్ అంటే ఏంటంటే, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీకు ఫ్లైట్ హైజాగ్ అయింది, అప్పుడు లోపల కూర్చునే ప్యాసింజర్స్ని హోస్టైల్స్ అంటారు. అంటే లైక్ బానిసత్వం లాగా మిమ్మల్ని కూర్చోబెట్టి టార్చర్ చేయడాన్ని, ఒక ప్లేస్లో మిమ్మల్ని తగులుకొని మీరు బానిసత్వం వహించడం దాన్ని ఏమంటారంటే హాస్టైల్ అంటారు. సో కార్డియల్ అంటే రిక్వైల్, హంబుల్ అనేది దానికి ఆపోజిట్ అంటే హాస్టైల్, అంటే టార్చర్ పెట్టి మిమ్మల్ని సరిగా ట్రీట్ చేయకపోవడాన్ని హాస్టైల్ అంటారు. లెట్స్ సీ ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. ఇఫ్ యూ సీ ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్, ఇట్స్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ బెస్ట్, వర్స్ట్. Best, worst, sink, question mark. Best, worst, sink, question mark. So best, worst, sink, question mark. It is so simple. Once again, it is easy. See here, best, worst enti, once again antonym కింద వస్తుంది. సో బెస్ట్, వర్స్ట్ అనేది మీరు చూసినట్లయితే ఇవి రెండు ఆపోజిట్స్. అవునా? బెస్ట్, వర్స్ట్ దీని రిలేషన్షిప్ ఏముంది? ఆపోజిట్. సో సింక్ అంటే మునిగిపోవడం, దీనికి ఆపోజిట్ ఏమవుతుంది? ఇట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి ఫ్లోట్. ఇట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు బి ఫ్లోట్. దెన్ నెక్స్ట్ మీరు చూడండి, సాలిసిట్. రిక్వెస్ట్. Solicit, request. Then presume, question mark. I repeat, solicit, request, screen ఒకసారి చూడండి. Solicit, request and then presume what is that? So it is so simple. Solicit, request ante it is a meaning here. It's a meaning. Synonym అంటాం కదా, ఇంగ్లీష్లో మనం synonym అంటాం. అంటే solicit యొక్క మీనింగ్ ఏంటంటే రిక్వెస్ట్. solicit అన్న రిక్వెస్ట్ అన్న రెండు ఒకటే. ఆల్రైట్. సో ప్రిజ్యూమ్ అనేది ఏంటి అంటే ఇట్స్ నథింగ్ బట్, దీని ప్రిజ్యూమ్ యొక్క మీనింగ్ మీరు చెక్ చేయాలి. ప్రిజ్యూమ్ యొక్క మీనింగ్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ అజ్యూమ్. ఆల్రైట్, అజంప్షన్, ఇమాజినేషన్ చేసుకుని అనుకుంటాం కదా, లెట్స్ అజ్యూమ్ అని మ్యాథమెటిక్స్లో మనం చెప్తాం. సో ప్రిజ్యూమ్ అన్న అజ్యూమ్ అన్న ఒకటే. ఆల్రైట్. నా సో హియర్ ద రిలేషన్షిప్ ఇస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ మీనింగ్, అంటే సినోనిమ్. సో సాలిసిట్, రిక్వెస్ట్ కి రిలేషన్షిప్ ఏంటంటే సినోనిమ్, అంటే దీని యొక్క మీనింగ్ ఏది, అంటే ప్రిజ్యూమ్ యొక్క మీనింగ్ ఏంటి అనేది మీరు చూసినట్లయితే అజ్యూమ్. ఓకే, సో లెట్స్ సీ వన్ మోర్ క్వశ్చన్. సో లెట్స్ సీ వన్ మోర్ క్వశ్చన్. ఇప్పుడు మీరు చూసినట్లయితే సి లైన్, స్క్వేర్, లైన్, స్క్వేర్. arc, question mark. Line, square, arc, question mark. So for this type of questions, I'm going to give you options, which is ring. Please make a note, which is ring. And second one is sphere. And third one is circle. And fourth one is, the D is ball. I repeat the question, just have a look at it. Line, colon, square, proportion, arc, question mark. Am I right? So what are the options here? Ring, sphere, circle, and then what is that? Ball. Okay, now what is this? How we are going to solve this particular question? Now, ఒకసారి మీ స్క్రీన్ చూసినట్లయితే see line square అనేది ఏంటి అని మీరు చూడండి. Line square అంటే it is so simple. లైన్ స్క్వేర్ అంటే లైన్ని బేస్ చేసుకొని స్క్వేర్ అనేది ఫామ్ అవుతుంది. అంటే స్క్వేర్లో ఏముంటుంది మీరు చూసినట్లయితే ఇట్స్ కంపోజ్డ్ ఆఫ్ 4 lines. Am I right? So let's say if this is square, this is one line and this is two line, second line, this is the third line and this is the fourth line. So line is nothing but square has 4 straight lines. 4 straight lines forms a square. Now form a square. Now arc forms what? Ring or sphere or circle or ball. It is so simple. We know that arc forms a circle. For example, semicircle lo idi enti, it's an arc అని అంటాం కదా. So multiple arcs, multiple semicircles forms a complete circle. So it is so simple. It is a circle. Now let's see the last question. Calendar. All right, so we have discussed the calendars topic as well last day. So let's talk about calendars. Okay, so let's see another example. Calendar, dates, proportion. Calendar, dates, proportion, dictionary, question mark. Calendar, calendar colon dates, proportion, dictionary, question mark. So calendar dates అంటే ఏంటంటే see calendars లో మీకు ఏముంటుంది? Calendars లో dates ఉంటుంది. Am I right? Now dictionary లో ఏముంటుంది? I'm going to give you the options: words, vocabulary, language, and D, it is going to be book. Alright, so simple. Calendar, dates అయితే dictionary ఏమవుతుంది? So it is so simple. So calendar లో ఏముంటుంది? Dates ఉంటుంది. So dictionary లో ఏముంటుంది? Obviously words ఉంటుంది. Alright, it's not vocabulary, it's all about the words and its meanings ఉంటుంది. Alright, so this is how it works. So మీరు ఇలాంటి క్వశ్చన్స్ ని సాల్వ్ చేయాలి, అనాలజీ క్వశ్చన్స్ సాల్వ్ చేసుకోవాలంటే యూ నీడ్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ ద రిలేషన్షిప్. సో ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే ప్రెజెన్స్ క్యాలెండర్ ఇస్ కంపోజ్డ్ ఆఫ్ వాట్? క్యాలెండర్ ఇస్ కంపోజ్డ్ ఆఫ్ డేట్స్. మొత్తం డేట్స్ ని కంపోజ్ చేసే క్యాలెండర్ ఉంటుంది, వర్డ్స్ ని కంపోజ్ చేసే డిక్షనరీ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇట్స్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ ద అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ద రిలేషన్షిప్ బిట్వీన్ ఏ అండ్ బి. సో నేను మీకు ఏం చెప్పాను, దీని ఏ, ఇది బి అండ్ ఇది సిగా మీరు కన్సిడర్ చేసుకోవాలి. సో ఏ బి రిలేషన్షిప్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేసి ఇదే రిలేషన్షిప్ని సికి అప్లై చేస్తే యుల్ గెట్ ద ఆన్సర్ డి అవుట్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ 4 options. Alright, so I hope you understand, but it needs a lots of practice. It's like you cannot learn within a day. It's all about your practice. Try to practice as much as you can and try to learn the new words. Start reading the dictionary, start reading the newspapers. You'll get to know lots of new words, vocabulary. Try to understand the meaning, pronunciation, everything. It will definitely help you to solve the questions. If you have any doubts or questions in this particular topic, just please post in the comment section so that I'll help you out which are the books, which are the websites you need to follow to understand this. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I welcome you all for this morning session for EAC Foundation course. Now we had been doing these foundation courses for graduates since last 2 to 3 weeks. We have finished the portion for aptitude. Now from today onwards I'm going to talk about the verbal ability, but before we speak about verbal ability, it's very important for you to understand the communication aspect itself. So today and tomorrow I'm going to talk about the communication aspect just to give you the foundation for it before we head on to the vocabulary part, where you will understand certain elements which will help you answer questions in terms of verbal ability. Now when we talk about verbal ability, it's imperative, it's important that you understand the foundation in terms of vocabulary. Now, when we speak about vocabulary, it's one of the 4 fundamental pillars of communication. Now, when I say fundamental pillars of communication, I am referring to the oral communication. Now, the question would be, what is oral communication? Is it verbal or non-verbal communication? So, we have to take few steps back to understand the foundation. That's why in next few sessions, I'm going to talk about the foundation, the fundamentals of communication skills. Then I will move on to the verbal ability part. So, we often tell each other, or we make this observation and comment that the communication skill is very important if you want to succeed in life. Now, what do we exactly mean by communication skill? So, communication skills is, or rather communication. So, how would you define that? So, whenever 2 individuals are getting into a conversation, there are 2 people talking, it could be face-to-face communication, it could be a written communication. What exactly happening is there is an exchange of information, there is a transmission of data. What you see here is that 2 individuals, there is transmission of data happening, and the transmission of information happening and exchange of data. All right. Now, if we go further, now we need to understand what is a communication cycle, and I have mentioned this as a myth. What do we mean by myth? Myth is something that you think it is right, but actually it's not. The reason you think it's right because this is how you have been trained and this is how you have been taught. So, when we talk about communication cycle, we have learned in our school that there is a sender and there is a message, or there is an information, there is a message, and there is a sender who's sending this information, right? Now, there has to be a receiver. Now, once the receiver receives the message, he sends a feedback. Now, think about this aspect. Is the feedback always necessary? So, if we look at an example of a billboard or a hoarding or a newspaper, or if we have a news for that matter, if we are watching news, we are receiving an information, right? But we are not sending any information back, which means this feedback is always not necessary. But in our school, we were taught that this feedback is essential. The feedback, if it's missing, then the cycle is not complete. Now, this is wrong. There is no such thing that in case there is no feedback, the cycle is incomplete. It doesn't really hold water. Now, what do I mean by that? I showed you some examples, like the hoarding. Say, for example, you're walking by the road and there is a hoarding which says sale, 50% sale or 70% sale in Big Bazaar. Either you go and buy or you don't buy, but you have received the information, correct? If you're reading something in a newspaper, you have received the information, you are watching news, you see the newsreader say something and you receive the information, but you are not sending any message back, you are not sending any feedback, but still the communication is happening, you are aware of it. That's why we say that the feedback is not necessary, and hence that's a myth. Now, we need to know what are the essentials of effective communication. We always use the word the communication is not effective, the communication is not good. There are certain essentials which is very, very key for an effective communication. Now, there are 6 essentials of effective communication. These are assertiveness, authenticity, open-mindedness, empathy, clarity, and listening skills. Now, let's understand one by one what do we mean by this. Assertiveness basically means your ability to say no to a person or decline something without offending a person. Say, for example, if somebody comes and asks me for some money, I can either say no, I will not give it to you, or I say fine, I will give it to you. Now, this is an essential aspect of a human behavior. In order to understand that, we need to look at 3 important elements. Let me quickly make a note of this here so that you understand what do I mean by this. So, 3 important elements. I'll first type it, then I will zoom it so that you can see it clearly. Okay. So it is aggressive, submissive, assertive. Now what do I mean by aggressive? Aggressive basically means where you are showing force, you are showing aggression, you are being harsh, or that is basically called aggressive. For example, if somebody is asking for 100 rupees and I say, sorry, I'm not going to give it to you, I'm not using the word sorry and I'm being very violent in terms of my body language, or it could be in terms of the words that I'm using. I'm being harsh, I'm being rude. Now that's an aggressive behavior. Submissive means the moment the person is asking, I'm taking money out and giving to that person. I'm not even contesting, I'm not even protesting, which means whatever the other person asks, I submit myself to that person. I don't exercise any kind of restraint. Assertive basically means your ability to say no to a person without harming that person, without making that person feel bad. Okay. Now, when we talk about effective communication, it's very important that our communication is assertive in the sense we use words, we use a language, we use vocabulary that is considered more polite. At the same time, you stand your ground. You don't really submit yourself and you still stand your ground. Say for example, when the moment the person is asking for money and I say that, I'm sorry, I just have 100 rupees and I have saved this money for my lunch. If I give it to you, I will have to go hungry. So that's why I request you not to ask for money. Now I'm explaining the situation and then I'm saying no to that person. When we talk about aggressive behavior, I don't give any explanation whatsoever. I simply say no. When I say submissive behavior, I don't look into what my issues are or my limitations or problems are. I immediately accept what the other person is saying. So that's a submissive behavior. Now, essentials of effective communication, like I said, is assertiveness, because it allows you to make your point without hurting the other person's feelings. That's why it's an essential. The second point is authenticity. Authenticity basically means whatever you say, you build an element of trust. The other person believes in you. Now, when we talk about authenticity, we basically mean when you are speaking to a person, whatever the person says, you end up finding a lot of truth in it, you believe in it, and it helps you build trust. You must have come across a lot of people that you cannot trust because whatever they say is actually not true. What happens in a situation like that is the element of trust recedes, it falls. Now that I'm saying that it's an essential of effective communication, whatever you are saying has to hold water, has to mean the truth. Otherwise, you will lose the trust from the other person. And hence, that's an essential aspect of effective communication. The third point is open-mindedness. Now, what do we mean by open-mindedness? Let me show you an example. Okay. All right. Now, let me type in something here. Child labor. Okay. Now, if you go for an interview and the interviewer asks you a question that do you support child labor? Now, 99% of the answers would be no, I do not support child labor. But what if the other person, the interviewer, says that I'm sorry, you don't support child labor, but I do support child labor, because the fundamental definition of child labor in India is incorrect. That needs to be amended, that needs to be changed. Now, are you allowing that other person to express a difference of opinion? That is what open-mindedness is. Open-mindedness is opposite of closed-mindedness, where you build certain assumptions, where you build certain perceptions, and you don't allow anybody to tamper with it, you don't allow anybody to change that. When we speak about effective communication, it's imperative that you allow the other person to express their opinion with an open mind. It's always welcome to allow somebody else to speak about what's in their mind without harming that person or without disagreeing with that person in the very beginning. Two different individuals will definitely have two different opinions, but you should always allow the opinion to be expressed. Look at it from the other way around, or from the other side. If there's a group of people who are talking to you and they have a certain way of looking at something and you have a different opinion, you definitely want your opinion to be heard. It may not be accepted, but you definitely want that opinion to be given some consideration, that why are you making such an opinion. That's why it's important that we understand that open-mindedness is an important element of essentials of communication. The fourth point is empathy. Now there is another word which is called sympathy, but I am not talking about sympathy here, I am talking about empathy. In order to understand what is empathy, I need to show you an example to demonstrate what do I mean by this. Okay, so I'm going to write a sentence here. Okay, the first one is I am sorry. The second one is I apologize. Now the question here is there a difference between these two sentences or these two words? Okay, so I am sorry, the key word here is sorry in this case. Let me mark it. And in this case it is I apologize. Is there a fundamental difference between these two words? Okay, now since we have this mode of communication through television, so obviously I can't hear what you're saying and there is no way you can express your opinion here, but I would like you to think and understand what exactly do I mean by this. Number one is I'm sorry, number two is I apologize. Is there a difference? Your answer could be yes, there is a difference. Now if there is a difference, you need to think what the difference is. If you think there is no difference, then obviously there are no further questions to that, right? So if you think there is a difference between sorry and apology, what exactly is that? Okay, so before I go ahead, I want to tell you what exactly I mean by this. Now there are two more words. Sympathy versus empathy, right? Now, when we talk about sympathy, I'm just going to write it here. Sympathy is only an expression, and when we talk about empathy, it's an action. Okay, so I can write expression here to make it easy for you. All right, so sympathy is just an expression, empathy is an action. What do I mean by this? To display or to explain that, I need to give you a couple of more examples. I'm going to give you a situation and then I'm going to write this sentence, okay? The first one is you're talking to a person who says he lost his car. The second one is you're talking to a person who says he who lost his mobile phone. Okay, Now, in a situation like this, just pay attention what I'm trying to say. In a situation like this, now the first one is a stranger, the second one is a friend. You know the second person, but you essentially don't know the first person, right? If your statement is I apologize for your loss, or the second one is I'm sorry to hear about your loss. Okay? Now, the point to be noted is the moment you say I apologize for your loss, that means you are responsible for it. So let me change the color. The moment you say you are sorry, you apologize for the loss, that means you are responsible for it. The moment you say I'm sorry to hear about your loss, you're not saying I apologize, you're saying sorry. That means you are not responsible. Okay? So that's exactly what sympathy and empathy is. Sympathy means sorry. Empathy means I apologize. Sympathy is just an expression to make a person feel good. Empathy means also action. The moment you say I apologize for this or I apologize for the inconvenience, for example, if you're talking to Vodafone or Airtel or Reliance Jio and something is not right with your mobile network, and the customer service representative always says, I apologize for the inconvenience. What does that mean? It means, let me find out what is wrong and let me fix the problem. That is what the word apology is. You will use the word apology when you are directly or indirectly responsible for anything that is wrong. You will use the word sorry when you are not or nowhere concerned in terms of the responsibility or being the reason for anything going wrong. It's just an expression of consoling someone. Sorry is an expression of sympathy. Apologize is an expression of empathy. So when we talk about essentials of communication, we say that you should have empathy. It basically means your word should translate into action. You should not say things just for the heck of it, just for the sake of it. You need to use these words which can also have a following action to bring a change, to make a difference, or to find a solution. The problem is we usually argue with people, we only focus on the problem, but we don't think about the solution. When we talk about the essentials of communication, empathy basically means it's a solution-oriented communication, not a problem-focused communication. All right? So that is what empathy is all about. The fifth one is clarity. Now, what do we mean by clarity? Now, I'm going to showcase a couple of more examples here. Now, clarity, it can be denoted in two ways, in terms of speech or in terms of thought. Okay? Now, when I say in terms of speech, it means the way we speak. Okay? Now, in terms of thought, the way we listen. Now I'm going to give you an example. Now when we say essentials of communication, this clarity is extremely important. Okay. In terms of thought, the way we listen, I'm going to talk about that in detail when we speak about listening skills. But here I'm going to talk specific to the speech part. Let me show you a number. Okay. Now this is 5. How do I pronounce this? Or how do I write it? I just say F-I-V-E, 5. Right? The second one is this. And the third one is alright. Now pay attention here. The first word what you saw a while ago is 5. Alright. Now the pronunciation is 5. F-I-V-E, 5. So I need to bite my lower lip to end the word. It's 5. The second one is 11. So it starts with A, le, ven, 11. And the third one is 12. Like how I ended the number 5 in terms of pronunciation, I do the same with 12 as well. Now, problem that happens among people, I will explain where the issue is. Okay? The pronunciation here, I hope this is visible to all of you. Yes. The pronunciation here, if I may put it in terms of phonetics or easily understandable, it's 5. Correct? 5. But lot of us pronounce that as 5. Instead of saying 5, lot of us mispronounce this as 5. This mispronunciation can lead to misunderstanding, especially when you're speaking to someone on a phone. Now imagine you're speaking to someone on an international call, if you're working in an organization, and usually the connections are sometimes not so good. So when you're making these pronunciations, when you're saying these words, it can lead to misunderstanding. The second one here is 11. So I can pronounce this as a, le, ven, but lot of people pronounce this as 11. Right? Now that's a mispronunciation. This is where they go wrong. Then you have 12. It's 12. This is how it's pronounced, but we make mistake. We just say 12. Okay? Now this is exactly what clarity is all about in terms of speech. Now the way we learnt pronunciation in our school itself is wrong. Say for example, this particular letter. Now this is a letter in English alphabet system. How do we pronounce this? It's pronounced as H. Okay? But in southern part of India, everybody pronounces this letter as H. It's not H, or let me make it this way. They say H. It's not H, it's H. Alright? Say for example, the letter M. It's pronounced as M. But in southern India, everybody pronounces that as Yam. For example, N. And it's pronounced as yen. There are more such examples. Say for example, O. It's pronounced as O, but lot of people pronounce this as wo. So they say yam, yen, wo, p. It's not yam, yen, it's m, n, o. Likewise, this particular letter is H. Alright. Now when you mispronounce the letters itself, it can lead to mispronunciation of words also. Alright. Say for example, the word class, lot of people pronounce this as class. It's not class, it's class. So I have K, L, A, S, class. This is how it's pronounced. But people make a mistake and they make it class. Say for example, I have, just a moment. I have the word which is page. Okay. Now the pronunciation is P, A, J, page. Correct? But lot of people replace the J with a Z. Page. They say page number. What is the page number? It's not page, it is page. Alright? They sometimes interchange as well. For example, it's zone. Instead of saying zone, they pronounce this as zone. These are the mispronunciation that you end up carrying because this is how you learnt in the school, right? So I cannot blame the students who are mispronouncing words. Even I was taught like that in school. Even I studied in government school, non-English medium school. But later I had to learn it for my job. So when you do not understand how a word is pronounced, the best way is to refer to the dictionary. Now that you have online dictionary available, you can just enter a word in Google, put on a headphone or switch on the speaker in your system and you can hear the pronunciation. So this pronunciation aspect is very important when we speak about clarity. In case if you make mistakes in terms of pronunciation, it can lead to a very different meaning. Sometimes these words have different pronunciation and it leads to a different meaning altogether. For example, content and content. These are two different words, but we interchange. Lot of times, lot of people use the word content. Please give me the training content. It's not training content, it's training content. So these are the areas where you make pronunciation mistakes in terms of certain sounds, and that can lead to a completely different meaning. Okay. So the more you understand, the more you will discover where exactly you are going wrong, and my job or this training is to help you understand how to correct these mistakes. And that's why the importance of this communication skill is really high, because so that you can understand that what you have learned in the past is actually not correct, and this is the right way of speaking and writing. All right. And the last element of essentials of communication is listening skills. Listening skills is nothing but a step further of hearing. What we are hearing is just the sound because we have the ear. But listening is something more psychological. Listening is the next step of hearing. Hearing is just receiving the sound. Listening is receiving the sound, translating that into something which you can understand, and you respond to it. For example, if the phone is ringing, if my phone is beeping, if it's ringing, I'm hearing it. But when I'm answering, that means I'm listening to it and I'm responding to it. And there are different types of listening, there are different stages of listening. All these elements you will get to know in the next session, whenever we have that scheduled, probably tomorrow. But please do a recap, rewind the YouTube session. Whatever questions you have and whatever you want to learn in terms of effective communication, feel free to post your question in the YouTube comment section. I'll take a look. I will announce the name of the person who's posing these questions and I will provide you with the answer. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Hello students, this is a C language training program. Today I want to discuss with the structure with array, how to create the structure using arrays. The last session I discussed the structure and the nested structure I discussed. What is meant by structure? Structure is a collection of different type of elements. Structure is a collection of dissimilar data type elements, or structure is a collection of heterogeneous elements. Using one structure variable, different type of elements can store with the help of structures. Suppose if I want to represent with student details, actually students are consist with different details. Student ID integer type, student name is character string, student attendance float type. Every student represented different type of elements. Student ID integer, student name is character string, and attendance is float. If I want to represent the employee details, employee ID integer type, employee name character string, employee salary float data type. Suppose if I want to represent with item structure details, item number integer, item name character string, item rate float data type. What is the advantage of structure? One variable to store different type of elements, variety of elements. Array called as same type of elements, but structure called as different type of elements or dissimilar type of elements. What is meant by nested structure? A structure consists with another structure. A structure accessed with another structure is called as nested structure. What is the definition of nested structure? Every nested structure, two structures can be defined. One structure inside another structure. The first structure represents parent, second structure represents child structure. How to access the nested structure elements? With the help of two dot operators, two dots. Single structure elements are accessed with the single dot. Two nested structure elements are accessed with the two dots. The first dot represents parent, second dot represents child structure elements. Every structure, how many steps you have? Structure declaration, structure calling. Structure declaration before main function, structure calling inside main. How to declare the structure? Structure name, data type element 1, data type element 2, a collection of elements. Declaration ends with semicolon. Every structure declaration ended with semicolon. How to call the structure inside main? Structure, name of the structure, and a variable of the structure. The variable of structure is also called as tag name. If I want to access the structure elements, tag name only to use, tag name to be represents. Structure is a user defined data type. You can mention our own elements, our own representations. But actually I discussed only for one structure variable can access only one record. If I create student structure, one student variable can enter. If I create employee structure, one employee details I enter. If I create item structure, one item can be entered. If I create book structure, one book can be defined. What is my discussion here? I want to create structure with array. What is meant by structure with array? Same structure elements I want to represent with the array variable. That means what? Multiple records I want to allow. If I want to enter 100 student details, structure with array. 100 employee details, structure with array. 100 books details, structure with array. What makes the difference of normal structure variable, array structure variable? Normal structure variable you can store only for one student details or one employee detail or one book details. But if I represent with a structure with array, multiple books details or multiple students or multiple employees, same type of data I want to. How to create a structure with array? You see the syntax. How to create structure with array? What is the syntax? You see the syntax of structure with array. How to create that? What is the syntax? Structure with array. Struct, name of the structure. After that, data type element 1, data type element 2, different type of elements to be represent. Every structure ended with semicolon, declaration ends with semicolon. Inside of main to call the structure, struct name, after that structure variable or tag name, structure variable or tag name, but this tag name identified with a square bracket. This square bracket indicates array. What is the syntax here? Struct, name of the structure, tag name. If I represent without size, only one element can be entered. One student, one employee. This tag name consists only one record. If I want to represent multiple records, tag name with size. This square bracket indicates array, structure with array, and defined size, fixed size. If I want to read the elements with help of index variable, to read the structure array elements. How to read that? For index equal to 0, how to read the structure with array elements? Index starts with 0, index ended with size minus 1, index plus plus, index increments. How to read of that? Scanf. Inside of scanf, what to be mentioned? Format strings like %d, %s, %f, format specified strings. Ampersand symbol, tag name, I mean structure variable, tag name. Within the square bracket, index, tag name of index dot element 1. Again similarly another element, tag name of index dot element 2. Like that you want to represent the elements, input the elements. What is the meaning of this syntax now? Listen. Index equal to 0, every array index starts from 0, every array index ends with size minus 1, index plus plus. After that, how to read the elements? Format specifiers, %d, %s, %f based on the elements. Ampersand symbol to be used, tag name. If I create the student structure, S is a tag name. After S, index. What is the index value? Initially starts 0, 0 dot, first element, dot represents structure elements, square bracket represents array, dot represents structure elements. Similarly, remaining elements also I can enter. First reading of first employee record, next reading of second employee, next reading of third employee until size minus 1, to read the elements. Once you read the elements, how to print the elements? For index equal to 0, index less than or equal to size minus 1, index plus plus. The first for loop used to read structure array. The first for loop is used to read structure array elements, elements to be read. Next for loop indicates to print the structure elements, structure array elements to be print. Whatever elements already reading, that to be print. How to print off that? printf. Again format strings, %d, %f, like this, format strings. Without ampersand symbol to print the elements. Tag name of index dot element 1. Similarly second one, tag name of index dot element 2, so on, so like this to use. Finally, to end off the printf, finally close the main. What is the syntax of structure with array? You see that struct name of the structure, different type of elements, group of elements. How to call that? Struct name, tag name. Tag name called as short name of structure variable. This is the structure variable, tag name. After tag name, square bracket size. This is indication of array. Without square bracket, it represents only one structure elements. With square bracket to represent multiple records. How to read the structure array elements? Index equal to 0, index ends with size minus 1, index plus plus. How to read of the elements? Scanf. Format specifiers like %d, %s, %f, ampersand symbol, tag name of index dot element 1. Similarly, tag name of index dot element 2. One more for loop is there, that is for print the elements. How to print the elements? Similarly, printf, format strings, tag name of index dot element 1. There is no ampersand symbol. Printf, no ampersand symbol, just value printing. Tag name of index dot element 2. Similarly, print the elements. You see that one example I want to discuss using structure with array. What is my example? Check it. Suppose I want to create one structure. What is my structure here I want to create? What is my name of structure? Books. My structure name is books. Now I want to create the book structure. What are my elements of the books? Book structure elements. Book ID, ID of the book, and one more is book name, name of the book, and one more is price, price of the book. Now for the book ID, I want to enter the book ID details. Next I want to enter the book name details. Next I want to enter the price. Book ID, which type of data type to be represent? Book ID. Now this book ID, which type of type I want to mention? Integer type. This book ID represents integer type. This book name character string. This price is float. Now for the book ID, I make it as integer type. Book name, I make it as character type. And one more is book price, I represented as float type. Float can be used. But actually I am creating book structure with 3 elements. If I represented as tag name B, at that time only for one book details can enter. If I enter B of 3, what is the indication of B of 3? Structure with array. What is the representation of these? B is a tag name. B is a tag name. How much size? 3 size. I want to enter the 3 elements of the books. Each book ID should enter, each book name should be entered, each book price should be entered. 3 books details I want to enter. How to make of this program? How to enter the 3 books details? Suppose what is my first element? Book ID 10. What is my second element? Book name, C language. What is my third element? Price 200. Next book 11. Next book ID 11. What is my book name? C++. What is my price? 250. Next book is 12. What is my book name? Oracle. What is my price? 300. Now here 3 books details I enter. Now these all will be stored at a books structure. How to read the first element? If I want to read with the first book elements, suppose I want to read this first book details I want to read. I want to read of this first book details. How to read of that? Actually, what is my structure name? Books. What is my variable? B. B of 3 size. But how to read of the first book detail? B of 0. Because of every index starts with 0. Every index value starts with 0. The index value starts with 0, that is a reason it is refer B of 0. Now I want to refer with the second book details. I want to read for 11, C++, 250. How to read of that? B of 1. I want to read of that B of 1. How to read of that elements? B of 1. If I want to read of the third book details I want to refer. how to read of that? B of 2, B of 2, the representation of third book details, B of 2. Finally, in this B of 3, 3 books I have. My structure name is books, my tag name is B, 3 books I want to read. Total size 3, 0 index starts, ended with the size -1. What is my size? 3, 3 minus 1, 2. Index starts from 0, ends with size -1, 2. How to read off the first element? If I want to read off the book ID, how to read off the book ID? If suppose I want to read this book ID, this book ID how to refer, how to read off this book ID? B of, this book ID how to refer? B of 0 dot BID. If I want to read for the second element, I want to read for the book name. I want to read for the book name. Now this book name C language book available on first book only. B of 0 dot B name. 0 indicates first book. I want to read of the first book price. To represent of first book price, how to refer the first book price? Similarly, B of 0. B of 0 called as first book dot price, third element to be read. Finally, what is my conclusion? First book all details referred with the B of 0. B of 0 dot BID, B of 0 dot B name, B of 0 dot price. If I want to read for second book, B of 1, B of 1 dot ID, B of 1 dot name, B of 1 dot price. If I want to read the third book, B of 2 dot BID, 2 dot B name, 2 dot price. Similarly, to represent of these elements. Structure with array. How to create of this structure with array? Book structure with array. You see the program, how to create of that structure with array program, check it. What is my program? Write a program to demonstrate structure with array. I want to create structure with array. Hash include std io.h, hash include conio.h, console input and output. Now I want to create structure. Struct. What is my name of structure? Books. Name of the structure books. Book ID integer type. Book name. Book name is character string. Book name, it's a character string. Under float price of the book, rate of the book. Inside of main to call the book structure. How to call that? Struct books. Original name books. What is my short name? B of 3. What is mean by B of 3? Indicates 3 books. Now I want to read the structure 3 books details. Declaration time only I want to enter. Equal to symbol. Equal to symbol represents assignment operator. Declaration of structure with array only entering elements. Open flower. This is my main book. Inside of that again open flower. It's my first book. First book ID 10. First book name C language. First book price 200. Now I want to end of the first flower braces. Indicates B of 0. Now I want to enter for second book 11 C++ 250. This complete flower braces indicate second book B of 1. How to read the third book? 12. What is my book name? Oracle. Price is 300. This is my third book B of 2. Actual size B of 3, but I read only B of 0 book, B of 1 book, B of 2. Size -1. Close these. How to print off these elements? How to print off these elements? Already I inputted books details. Printf books list. Whatever books already inputted, how to see that books list? For loop. For loop to be represent. For. Now here to be declare I for index variable. For loop I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 2, I plus plus. Index ends with size -1. How to print off the details? Printf. First I want to print a book ID %d \t. \t for tab space. Book name equal to %s. backslash t, book price equal to percentage f backslash n. After printing of one book, backslash n. Now here I want to print book ID, first element, backslash t, tab space, next book name string, backslash t, tab space, same line. Price is percentage f, after that backslash n. Moving on next line. How to print of that? B of I dot bid, B of I dot bname, B of I dot price. What is meant by indicates? Index variable, I for index. Now you see here I equal to 0, 0 less than 2, yes true, 0 is less than 2, true. Now I want to print B of 0 dot bid. What is a B of 0? First book. What is the first book ID? 10. Next B of 0 dot book name, C language, B of 0 dot price, 200. Once I print off that, I increments, I value increments. Now I is 1, B of 1 dot bid, I mean 11, B of 1 dot b name, C plus plus, B of 1 dot price, 250. Next I plus plus, B of 2 dot bid, I mean third book, 12, B of 2 dot book name, Oracle, B of 2 dot price, 300. After that 3 less than 2, false. Now this is the representation structured with array, 3 books I enter. Now I want to print off the detail, save. What is my name I used? struct3.c or struct4.c, struct4.c. Now I want to compile and run this program. Struct4.c, struct4.c. If I inside of these, it's a comment line. If I print off that, you see the answer, book ID 10, book name C language, price 200, B of 0. Book ID 11, book name C++, price 250, it's a second book, B of 1. Book ID 12, book name is Oracle, price 300, it's a third book, B of 2. B of 0, B of 1, B of 2. Finally, what is my conclusion here? Structure with array. Whenever you create with a structure with array, if I want to represent that structure with array, one variable can store multiple records. Whenever you go for structure with array now, multiple records can be stored at one variable. Every structure with array, index value started from 0, ends with size minus 1, ends with size minus 1. Index value increments. Now for the structure with array, multiple records can be read. You want to read the multiple records, then go for structure with array. Suppose I want to represent with the structure with array, I want to given the details. Which details I want to give here? I want to enter with the student details. Student structure details with array. I want to enter for 10 student details. 10 student ID, 10 student names, 10 student marks. Using 10 students, I want to calculate with the total, average, result. That is possible with the help of structure with the array to be processed. You see that how to create structure with array here, how it is working off. One more example to be created. What is my example now? Structure with the array. What type of structure I want to create? You see that what type of structure I want to create here. Whenever I want to go for this structure with array, check it. I want to define with student structure details. If I want to define student structure details to be defined, what is my name of the structure I want to define? Student. Name of the structure to be defined as student. Students is my structure. S is my structure variable. 5 means 5 students. Structure with array. The name of structure student, array name S, 5 size. Here I want to enter with student M1, student M1, mark 1 for the student, mark 2 for the students. What are my elements? Mark 2 and mark 3. Total to be calculated for the each student, average to be calculated, result to be calculated. These are the elements. Now in this representation, student M1, M2, M3 and total, these all are which type of elements? You can say integer type. These all first 4 elements are integer type. Next I want to create with average. Now the average is which type of element I want to represent? Float type. I want to represent the average float type. After that result I want to represent it as which type? Character type. That means pass or fail. Is a student is pass or fail. Like this I want to create the student structure details with 5 students. Now in this student structure, marks to be input, total to be calculate, average to be calculate, result to be calculate. How to make of that program now? Check it. What is my program here? Structure. What is my program? Structure with student details and evaluate, I mean calculate, total comma average comma result details. Structure with array, student details, evaluate, total, average, result. How to make of that? Hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h. Now I want to create with one structure, struct students, int m1, m2, m3, total, t for total, character res, result, res for result purpose, under float a for average, under float a for average. Inside of main, structure declaration ends with main, declaration ends with semicolon. Inside of main, struct students, struct student, original name students. What is my short name? S. S of 5. S of 5 means 5 students to be entered. Int I for index. Now I want to read with the student marks. First I want to read the student marks. Enter student marks. First I want to read the student marks. How to read that? For loop. I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 4, because my array size 5. That's why I less than or equal to 4. I plus plus. How to read the elements? Scanf. M1 mark is integer type %d, M2 mark is integer type %d, M3 mark is integer type %d. How to read of that? Ampersand S of I. S is the tag name of students, S of I dot M1, ampersand S of I dot M2, ampersand S of I dot M3. What is the meaning of these? S of 0 dot M1 first student mark, S of 0 dot M2 first student M2 mark, S of 0 dot M3 first student third mark. After that I plus plus, S of 1 dot M1, S of 1 dot M2, S of 1 dot M3, like that 5 student marks. After input that which to be calculated? S of I dot t, t for total, S of I dot M1 plus, S of I dot M2 plus, S of I dot M3, all marks to be added. How to find out average? S dot A equal to average, S of I dot t divided by 3, 3 subject marks, S of I dot t divided by 3, because of 3 subject marks I have, that's why you have to go for this. How to evaluate result? If condition is if S of I dot M1 greater than or equal to 40, S of I dot M2 greater than or equal to 40 and S of I dot M3 greater than or equal to 40. If all marks are above 40, I mean first student mark 1 is above 40, second student mark 2 is above 40, third student mark is above 40, then I want to calculate result. S of I dot R, S of I dot RES, RES for result equal to P, P for pass. S of I dot RES equal to P, P for pass. It's a character variable. Else, if it is not above 40, S of I dot res equal to f, f for fail, it is fail. Finally, in this first I inputted the M1 mark, M2 mark, M3 mark, calculated the total M1 plus M2 plus M3, calculated average total divided by 3, calculated result pass or fail. Each mark is above 40, result is pass, else result is fail. Finally, to print all student details, printf students details, whatever details already inputted, that should be print. Again for loop, I equal to 0. Now this is for reading of the for loop. Next I want to use for printing the detail, I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 4, I plus plus. Because of here how many students? 5 students. I want to print the details, printf. I want to print the details, which I want to print, total equal to percentage d, average equal to percentage f, result equal to percentage c, backslash n, new line to be called. After first student, backslash n. S of I dot t, t for total, S of I dot a for average, S of I dot res, result, 3 elements. Finally get ch to end of the main. See that. Now I want to save the program now. File save, structure 5.c, structure 5.c. If I run this program, check it, structure 5.c, struct 5.c. If I compile and run this, check it. Enter the student marks. If I enter the student marks 35, then 35, then 45. Next another student marks 45, 55, 65. Next another 3 student marks 76, 78, 89. Another 3 students marks 40, 24, 38. Another student marks 89, 90, 99. Totally 5 sets of students I giving. What is the first student total? 115, average 38, result is fail because of below 40, below 40 I have. Second student 165, average is 55, result is pass because of above 40. Third student also pass, above 40. Fourth student again fail because of below 40, average also below 40. Fifth student is pass because of average is above 40. Totally, what is my conclusion here? Whenever you are working with a structure with array, whenever you are working with a structure with array, if I created with 100 student marks, if I inputted 100 students marks, first I want to read the 100 student marks with the for loop. After reading of 100 students marks, calculated the total based on the expression S of I dot m1 mark 1, S of I dot m2 mark 2, S of I dot m3 mark 3. After calculation of total, average to be evaluated, S of I dot average equal to S of I dot total divided by number of subjects, 3 subjects. After calculation of that, result to be calculated. How it is evaluated result? If each subject mark is above 40, then I want to store the past result. If any student mark is below 40, then I want to print the result fail. Inside of for loop, S of I dot m1 greater than or equal to 40, S of I dot m2 greater than or equal to 40, S of I dot m3 greater than or equal to 40. If all marks are above 40, S of I dot result equal to pass, P for pass. If all marks, any mark is below 40, the result is fail. If any mark is below 40, result to comes fail. But these all expressions to be calculated inside of for loop. What is the indication of I here? Index. Structure with array, index value started from 0, index ended with a size minus 1, index increments. Like that you have to go for structure with array process. Now I want to discuss with one more example, structure with array only, one more example, one more calculation. You see one more example, structure with array, how it is create a structure with array, one more example, see the program. What is my program? Another string. Write a program to demonstrate. Write a program to demonstrate items structure, items details, item structure with array. I want to create item structure with array. How to create that? Hash include std io.h, hash include conio.h. Now I want to create with struct items. Items is a structure. I want to define with item id, item number, integer type, character, item name, it is a string type. After that float, under float I used rate of the item, quantity of the item. I want to evaluate price and I want to evaluate discount, I want to evaluate bill. But these all are for which type of elements? Float elements. Item number integer type, item name is character string, rate, quantity, price, discount, bill, all elements are float type. Every structure declaration ended with semicolon. Inside of main struct, how to call that? Struct items, struct items, it is a variable, it of 5 indicates 5 items I want to enter. Structure with array, 5 items I want to enter. Int I for index. How to read off that? Printf enter items details. I want to enter the item details. How to read off that? For I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 5 minus 1, 4, I plus plus. How to read off the details here? Scanf. What is my first to be read? Item number, percentage D. Next I want to read item name, percentage S. Next I want to read rate, percentage F. Quantity, percentage F. Remaining should be calculated. Ampersand it of I dot item number, it of I for index. Ampersand it of I dot item name, ampersand it of I dot rate, ampersand it of I dot quantity. These to be input. Here I inputted with item number, item name, item rate, item quantity. How to print off that? It of I dot t total price, it of I dot total price or price. Here I used with price equal to it dot it of I dot rate into it of I dot quantity, I for index. After that it of discount, it of I dot discount equal to it of I dot total price or price into 0.10. it of I dot bill equal to it of I dot which I want to use? Price minus discount, it of I dot discount, like this to be calculated. Finally, to print the answers of each item I want to print the answers. Printf, I want to print only bill, just I want to print only final bill for all items final bill, percentage F. Remaining also print it of I dot bill. Close that, close the values, get ch to end of that. File new, save. What is my name I used? Structure 6.c, structure 6.c. Item structure with array, structure 6.c. Now I want to enter item number 1, item name something, rice. Here you are getting one error, floating point error, abnormally terminate. I mean floating points not linked here. floating values not linked. That is the reason I changed the integer type, because here floating values not linked. That is the reason integer type I changed. Otherwise, you can give off the float also. Percentage d side giving, because of all our integers I define percentage d. Floating points are not linked. That is the reason. 1 rice. What is the rate? 40 rupees per kg, 3 kgs. Bill is 108. That means 40 into 3. 120, and percentage of discount also it will be there. Next to 2 it will be there. So item name is sugar, and 55 kgs. Bill is 225. Actually 250, but it is without discount. With the discount it will be added these 3, and item name and quantity, and one more item 4 soap, item name soap, and rate is 52 soaps, and one more item nuts, here actually item number and item name. Totally 5 items I inputted these 5 items, but these all I defined as integers. You can enter the details. Now you see, now I want to create with the copied structure. Under structure with array only, copied structure I want to define. Write a program to demo copied structure. How to copy the structure? One structure elements copy to another structure. I am creating one structure, that structure I want to copy to another structure. How to copy the structured elements? Struct. I am creating with something, any structure, employee. Inside of that employee ID and employee name, just 2 elements. Employee ID, employee name, just 2 elements. Otherwise, here I used with int department number. One more is department name. Now I want to create with this is struct employee. These are the elements. After that, inside of main. Now I want to create with struct. What is the name? Employee. What is my first variable? D1. Under D1 I enter the detail. Department number 10. Department name is sales. This is my D1. Now I creating one more variable D2. D2 variable. Actually D1 variable, D1 structure variable I enter 2 elements, but D2 structure variable I declare, but there is no elements. What is my request? Under D2 I want to copy from D1. D2 elements expected from D1. Copied structure. How to copy of these? D2 dot dno equal to D1 dot dno. How to copy the string? String copy. D2 dot dname comma D1 dot dname. First department name copy to second one. Printf. I want to print the second D2 details. Copied structure details. How to print off that? Department number percentage D, department number percentage D, department name percentages. How to print off that? D2 dot department number, D2 dot department name, which is already inputted for D1. Those elements copy to D2. Same elements copy to D2. One more header file also I use. Hash include string.h. String.h also I used. Save the program. Now I want to use for struct 7.c. Struct 7.c. I want to compile and run this program. Struct 7.c. Struct 7.c. Copy the elements. Struct 7.c. One structure elements copy to another structure. What is the D2 details? Department number 10, department name, sales. Just I make a space, \n. Here I want to make a space, \n. D1 details copy to D2. Now see, now in the structure, which structures I discussed, The today's session already I discussed the structures. Which are the structures I discussed? One is for structure with array, how to create structure using array variable, and one more I discussed the copied structure, how to copy one structure elements into another structure. Now the today's session I discussed with the structure with array, how to create structure elements with array variable, and one more is how to copy the structure, one structure elements copy to another structure. How to copy one structure elements into another structure? What is the formula to be used? Second structure element equal to first structure element. First you have to create two variables. You have to create with the two variables. Second structure element equal to first structure element, or second structure tag name equal to first structure tag name. Then only you can copy the elements. Finally, the today's session I discussed the structure, how to create with array variables, and how to copy one structure elements into another structure. The discussions are completed now. Today topic is completed. Then tomorrow session I started with how to make a structure using functions, how to make a structure using function variables. In the next session I discussed. Thank you for this video.
గమనించినట్లయితే ద్రవ పదార్థం, వాయు పదార్థం, ఏ పదార్థంలో వాయు పదార్థం ఆ పదార్థంలో అణువులైనటువంటి పరమాణువుల సముదాయం. ఈ పరమాణువులు స్ట్రక్చర్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది, ఆ పరమాణువులు ఎలా నిర్మితమై ఉన్నాయి, వీటన్నింటిని గురించి మనం ఆల్రెడీ తెలుసుకున్నాము. ఒక్కసారి పునశ్చరణ చేసుకుందాం. ఇది రూథర్ఫర్డ్ స్కాటరింగ్. ఇది రూథర్ఫర్డ్ స్కాటరింగ్ నమూనా. ఈ రూథర్ఫర్డ్ స్కాటరింగ్లో ఈ ఆల్ఫా పార్టికల్స్ అనేటువంటివి గోల్డ్ లీఫ్ ఫాయిల్ని తాడనం చెందించినప్పుడు ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటే, సాధారణంగా చాలా చెందించినప్పుడు ఆల్ఫా పార్టికల్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటే స్ట్రైట్గా సాధారణంగా చాలా మాత్రమే ఈ విధంగా చెందించినప్పుడు ఆల్ఫా పార్టికల్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటే స్ట్రైట్గా సాధారణంగా మనకు చాలా మాత్రమే ఈ విధంగా అనేటువంటి చెందించినప్పుడు ఆల్ఫా పార్టికల్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటే స్ట్రైట్గా చెందించినప్పుడు మనకు చాలా మాత్రమే ఈ విధంగా అనేటువంటి చెందించినప్పుడు ఆల్ఫా పార్టికల్ ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటే స్ట్రైట్గా కేంద్రకంలో మనకు చాలా మాత్రమే ప్రోటాన్లు ఈ కేంద్రకంలో ఉన్నాయి. కేంద్రకంలో మనకు ప్రోటాన్లు ఈ కేంద్రకంలో మనకు ప్రోటాన్లు ఈ కేంద్రకంలో న్యూట్రల్ గా ఉంది. ఈ కేంద్రకంలో న్యూట్రల్ గా ఉంది. న్యూట్రాన్లు ఉన్నాయి, అలాగే 2 ప్రోటాన్లు ఉన్నాయి. కాబట్టి హీలియం యాటమ్ని 2He4 అని రాసుకుంటాం. Z = 2, A = 4. దీని చుట్టూ 2 ఎలక్ట్రాన్లు పరిభ్రమిస్తూ ఉంటాయి. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఈ కేంద్రకం యొక్క ప్రాథమిక ధర్మాలు ఏమున్నాయో మనం పరిశీలిద్దాం. R0 ఇది ఒక